If it is Monday night, it is the Wrestling Forum. Hello, friends. It is Ridiculously Over Anthony Florio sitting in tonight for Derek Ferreira. I am joined tonight by, well, let's just say it like this. The Yes Movement takes over tonight, folks. That's all there is to say about that. Yes, 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 indeed, Michael Bullock. Yes. All right, let me explain here before we get started. Derek Ferreira not with us tonight. He is writing a lot of content for our websites tonight. So he will not be with us tonight. I just found out about this a little while ago. But he will be back with he will be back with us, however, on Friday night. If it is Monday night, it is the rest of the hello friends. It is the Silver sitting in tonight. Oh, sorry about that. Just had a little moment there. All right. Forgive me for that. That was a little botch on my little botchamania moment there. But all right, let me explain this again. Derek Ferreira not with us tonight, writing content for our websites and a whole lot of it. But he'll be back with us Friday night for our big season premiere of Strictly Sports Football Friday. Of course, if you didn't hear the big announcements, we'll have more on that. We'll have more on that at the end of our show tonight. I'll be setting the table for that, obviously. So Derek not with us tonight. He's working on the website, a lot of content. And our other colleague, Michael Fletcher, actually had to work until 11 tonight. So it's because of that he will not be joining us as well. So it's going to be just myself and the Phenom tonight. The Yes Movement runs the show. So really nothing left to say here except with that said, let's just get right into it tonight. Of course, Monday Night Raw was live tonight from the Honda Center, formerly the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. And we started it off with a segment that was actually announced ahead of time. It was announced this past Saturday. I first found out about this segment through a wrestling news website, and I reported it to everybody on my Facebook because I wanted everybody to know about it. A highly anticipated segment, to say the very least. It was the first ever Hall of Fame forum. It was the immortal Hulk Hogan, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, moderated by Michael Cole, talking about the Brock Lesnar, John Cena, WWE World Heavyweight Championship rematch that's going to be going down on September 21st at the Night of Champions in Nashville, Tennessee. And then it was interrupted by John Cena. So let me get into this. I got to say it was the second best segment of the night for me because I thought, there was one segment that I actually thought was better than this. I mean, when it came to the segment here, I really thought this was going to be the segment of the night, and I also thought it was going to be a big-time threat to the segment that Mr. Bullock and I love and cherish to this very day, and that was the Occupy Raw segment, which was not only the segment of the year, but one of the greatest segments in the history of Monday Night Raw. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I honestly wanted to see a little more out of this. I also kind of wanted to see this be the main event of the show, to be quite honest, because of the names involved. But you need a great way to start it off because remember, in a couple of weeks, Monday Night Football is back. So that's going to really push WWE to the limit here. They're going to need to come up with some compelling programming, to keep viewers enticed. I mean, especially with that big Monday Night doubleheader in 2 weeks. The Giants going up against the Detroit Lions, and the San Diego Chargers going up against the Arizona Cardinals. So, and of course, with all those other big time Monday Night matchups coming up throughout this season, and of course, you can't forget about the brand new fall programming that's going to be coming back, like Dancing with the Stars and The Voice and all those great shows. They gotta really get the ball rolling if they're going to have those ratings. Because the ratings went down a little bit last week because of that Cleveland Brown Washington Redskins preseason game, and rightly so because of all the hoopla, overhype. Yes, I said overhype surrounding it. Gee, I wonder why. But still, I mean, this segment to me I thought was very good. I mean, I like how all three. It was almost like a pseudo edition of the Wrestling Forum. I mean, it was almost like a look into the future. It was almost like the four of us, as of old age, not as the young guys we are now, but as of old age. Just like they were. They were talking about the match. They were getting into it. Shawn Michaels was really, to me, the star of the segment. I mean, all three were great. Don't get me wrong, but to me, HBK. There's a reason why they call him the showstopper. There's a reason why they call him Mr. WrestleMania. And it wasn't just because of his awesome in-ring ability. No, it was because of his his great verbal skills as well, his mic skills, if you will. I thought he was the best of the three here. He got really into it. He got into it. He got very detail oriented, a very strong attention to detail, and I thought that was well done. I mean, Hogan was fine too. So was Ric Flair and Michael Cole. Good job moderating, and then Cena comes in and cuts another great promo. I mean, I got to tell you, over the last couple of months, Cena's promos have been absolutely amazing, and he's getting better. I mean, nobody really ever liked his promos because of his, goofy, over-the-top PG, PG poster boy antics, but his promos have been anything but PG as of late. So that's all I can say about that. So very good segment, to say the very least. I was a little, however, let down and a little bit underwhelmed. I wanted to see a little bit more. I was hoping they would have gotten a lot of time on this. I was kind of hoping for at least 20 to 25 minutes on this, but unfortunately that was not the case. So, yeah, second best segment of the night, and there was one segment on this show that I actually thought was better, believe it or not. And I don't know if Mr. Bullock knows what it is, but we'll have to wait and see on that. So, second best segment of the night for me. I thought it was a very good segment, but one was just a little better. So with that said, I'm going to throw it up now to my vice president of the Yes Movement, and of course the Phenom, Michael Bullock. It's all yours.
All right, thank you very much for thinking ridiculously over Anthony Florio, and of course, yes, this is the Phenom and the vice president of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement, Mike Bullock, and of course my partner Anthony Florio being the president and the head leader of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement. So, yeah, I mean, I thought this was a good segment here, and this was the second best segment of the night. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a great panel for a Hall of Fame forum. The 16-time world champion Ric Flair, woo! And of course the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels and the immortal Hulk Hogan. I mean, talking about the big rematch between John Cena and Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the Night of Champions, and then HBK, of course, basically saying that Cena's at, well, of course, everybody basically was having their doubts, and I mean, everyone was basically saying, like, you know what, we all like John Cena, but let's face it, we don't think John Cena stands a chance against Brock Lesnar. I mean, especially after that beatdown that what happened at SummerSlam, and which was probably one of the worst beatings that John Cena has ever taken. And I'll go on the record as saying this, and I don't know if Florio will agree with me on it. I think the beatdown was even worse than the one that he took at Extreme Rules in 2012. I mean, yes, we saw a little Crimson Mask, but I mean, the only reason for that was the 16 German suplexes that we saw in that match. I mean, that was just unreal. I mean, like I said, everyone's saying Cena doesn't stand a chance, and they were basically, at one point, HBK and Hogan looked like they were basically going to get into a big-time argument, and then, of course, John Cena basically comes out, and he has that towel once again of never give up, and he basically giving it to a kid in the crowd, and then he comes in, talks to all three of them, and says he respects all three of them, and of course their opinions, but he's basically, sick and tired of about all the talk about him, and he wants to clear it up, and he talks about the 16 German suplexes, and basically said, hey, this was indeed an ass whooping, but HBK basically brought it up himself, saying a fight like that changes a man. And Cena says, hey, this is why I wanted Lesnar again. And then he basically sees how HBK is looking at him, asking why he would want to do this again. And even everybody is saying it, why John Cena would want to cash in on his rematch clause against Brock Lesnar after the beatdown he took. But Cena says He doesn't plan on doing it again. He's going to fight Brock this time around, and he knows that Ric Flair and HBK have their doubts, but he is not going. But he is going to beat. He's going to beat Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions, and that. Well, he's not only going to beat him, but basically beat his ass. So, yeah, I thought all four men basically played their parts out very well in this segment. So, that being said, segment of the night. So, with that being said, Florio, I say we move on to the matches.
And we certainly will move on to the matches there, Bullock. So let's get into it. I mean, what's a Monday Night Raw without some good, solid in-ring action, right? So let's get into it. First match of the night, it was Rusev, along with the Ravishing Russian Lana, going one-on-one with the Real American Jack Swagger, of course, minus Zev Coulter. Winner of the match in 12 minutes and 35 seconds by referee's discretion. Yes, I said it, referee's discretion. It was, of course, the Bulgarian Brood, if you will, Mr. Rusev. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I forgot to unmute my mic there. So, yeah, I mean, I thought this was an all right match for what it was worth. I mean, but I'm gonna have to say maybe 2.5 stars when as far as this match goes, because I would have given it because of the cop out finish via referee stoppage, and I mean this was a very good back and forth encounter. But of course, what pretty much did in was what Rusev basically attacking the ribs, and of course we all know Jack Swagger has problems with his ribs. So, I mean basically, with the way he was going after those ribs, I mean the referee basically says, you know what, Jack Swagger's not able to continue. We're gonna have to stop the match. I mean, I'll say it. I mean, this is not as good as the match that they had at the SummerSlam pay-per-view in that flag match. But all in all, I thought it was still fine for basically what it was worth. I mean, even though I hated that cop-out finish. So 2.5 stars for me, and it was. So with that being said, Florio, your thoughts on the match?
All right. I don't mean my mic there, but yes, I do agree with you, Michael Bullock. 2.5 stars is the correct rating for this match. I mean, it was another good match. I mean, the matches they've had have been all very good. I mean, the Battleground match, SummerSlam match, and this match tonight. But the only thing I really wasn't a fan of was the finish. I mean, a referee's discretion. I mean, not really a popular way to end the match. I mean, the feud has really lost some luster. I mean, I really didn't like how the finish went down, and you know, I understand that they want to protect Swagger and they also want to protect America and all that good stuff, but they really should have let the feud end after SummerSlam. I mean, it was obvious that they were going to have Rusev come out on top, and I understand that they want to keep building Rusev as the next big mega heel in the WWE. I can certainly understand that. I mean, he's got a great look and everything else, and I have no question in my mind that within the next year or two, he's going to be packing some form of championship gold, whether it's the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, the United States Heavyweight Championship. I think it's going to be right around the lines of those two. I don't think he's quite ready for the big prize of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, that's probably light years down the road. I mean, especially with the top-heavy talent that you got vying for that particular prize. But within the next year or so, I see him winning some form of championship gold, if I'm being quite honest. And, I mean, it was still a solid match. Don't get me wrong, but I understand that they want to protect Jack Swagger and even America, but I think it was a poor choice, and they really should have let this feud end after SummerSlam bout, if I'm being really honest with you guys, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So, I mean, but don't get me wrong, it was one of the top matches of the night for sure. I mean, because there was some great action here. I mean, I really thought there was a slight chance that Swagger was actually going to finally get the Duke here, but no. They just had too much invested in Rusev. But at least they still, at least they haven't given up on Swagger yet, and I'm glad they haven't because he is a good worker. I mean, he's had some good matches, in his over 5 years in the WWE, and, He's gotten some positive reactions ever since they turned him and Zeb Coulter babyface. And, he's really not the same without Zeb Coulter. Without Zeb Coulter, Jack Swagger's back to being that okay, middle-of-the-road talent. And what I think they should do is, end this feud quick. It was fun while it lasted, but I think he's pretty much grown tired of it now. I think he's starting to get tired now and a little bit played out. And I think you really need to move Jack Swagger onto that feud with Bo Dallas. It's obvious that they're planting the seeds for a future program between Jack Swagger and Bo Dallas, which could be very interesting. Even though Bo Dallas' matches have left a lot to be desired, and I mean a lot. He just really hasn't clicked with me yet. The gimmicks, really not into the gimmick, although I do know someone who is a fan of the gimmick. He didn't like it at first, but he's really started to get into it as of late. So, that's really all there is to say about it. So, one of the top matches of the night, 2.5, at least 2.5 stars for the rating. I was leaning towards 3, but after that little referee's discretion finish, which was fine, but I really didn't like that. If it wasn't for that, if it had been, a more decisive finish, then maybe I would have given it 3 because it was getting there. But 2.5, I feel, is the best rating for the fight. So nothing left to say here. Let's just move on to our next matchup here. It was a #1 contenders match for the United States Heavyweight Championship. It was Cesaro versus Rob Van Dam. Winner of the match in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. It was Cesaro. Cesaro, now the #1 contender for the United States Heavyweight Championship, and has a showdown with Sheamus down the road. My guess for that is probably going to be the Night of Champions in Nashville. I think that would make the most sense, if I'm being honest. And as far as this fight goes, too short for my liking because, these are two guys who can both go. They had a very solid pre-show match. You remember back at SummerSlam as part of the kickoff show. They had a very solid match there. That was a solid 2.5 to 3-star fight there, but not this time around. It was over like that. I have to say, I'm going to give it 1.5 though for the effort because I thought there was some good action, for that short amount of time, and there was some good action there during the fight, and I'm glad. They got this one right. Cesaro and Sheamus, you remember back in June at the Payback pay-per-view, they had one hell of a United States title match in Chicago, and it's obvious they're going to have another fight. Like I said, I think it's going to be Night of Champions. To me, and I'm sure Mr. Bullock might agree with me on this, I think Night of Champions would make the most sense to have this bout. Don't give it away yet. You got 4 weeks to build it. You got plenty of time to build it. Have a series of matches with Sheamus against somebody and Cesaro against somebody, and then maybe have a series of run-ins and maybe a promo segment or two, to really hype this fight up. And if you do all that, you got potential for one of the better United States heavyweight title matches that we've seen in a long time. The last really good U.S. title match was the match those very two men had back in June at Payback. So save it for Night of Champions, and if you do that, I think there's a good chance this one could not be better than the Payback fight, but it's going to be what myself and Mr. Bullock and all of us here at the Wrestling Forum, especially one of our two fallen colleagues, Michael Fletcher, likes to call it a be a man fight. As you know, this has physicality and smash mouth written all over it, and I for one cannot wait. And I really hope they save it for the Night of Champions. Don't give it away just yet, please. You got a big money feud here. Save it for Nashville. Save it for September 21st. 1.5 stars is my rating. It's one of the worst fights of the night, but not the worst fight of the night. We'll get into that later on. So, nothing left to say here except Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll say 1.5 stars as well. I thought this was, I thought it was fine for what it was worth, but yeah, definitely too short for my liking. Some good high-flying action here when it comes to RVD. Cesaro. Before the win that he had against RVD at the SummerSlam kickoff was basically on a little bit of a losing streak, and now he picks up back-to-back wins here, of course, against RVD, and now with that, he's going to be getting that United States Championship shot against Sheamus. Of course, after the match, Cesaro basically went to to the table and basically grabbed the U.S. title, and then all of a sudden Cesaro basically tossed the belt back to Sheamus and backs away. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely. I mean, if they're gonna have this match, save it for Night of Champions. Don't do this on a Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown. I mean, it ain't called Night of Champions for nothing, because it's where all titles are on the line. Because I'll tell you this, if they put it on a Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown, it would be, and I know Anthony Florio will agree with me on this, pointless, unnecessary, unacceptable, inexcusable, irresponsible, and borderline reprehensible. Save it for the Night of Champions pay-per-view. Don't put this on Raw or SmackDown, or even worse, on the main event on the WWE Network. So yeah, I mean, could this be better than their payback match that they had the payback encounter, the match they had at Payback? We'll have to wait and see on that. So 1.5 stars is my rating on it. So with that being said, Florio, let's move on.
All right, and move on we will, and we are going to move on now to, let me see here, let me check my notes here. It was a Divas matchup. It was the Divas champion Paige going one-on-one with Natalya. Winner of the match in 2 minutes and 52 seconds, the Divas champion Paige. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, once again, I definitely forgot to unmute my mic. So in 2:53, yeah, definitely not good. Definitely another one of the worst fights of the night, if I'm going to be quite honest here. And I'm going to say, but I'm going to be generous and say maybe 1 star just for the effort. I mean, there was a little bit of action here in this match. I mean, I know some people would say, but it was definitely another one of your typical ho-hum diva fights, and that's a shame because, Paige and Natalya, they're two divas that can definitely wrestle, and you give them a certain amount of time, you're looking at maybe a 2.5 to a 3 star bout based on the body of work. But this one here definitely was too short. So, and then of course after the match, AJ Lee comes out, skips her way to the ring, and Paige basically heads back into the ring, and then AJ gets the mic, and she basically calls Paige her little English muffin, and she says that she knows that Paige said she loved her and that she was being sincere, and then she all of a sudden says she is much more sincere, though, and AJ gets close to Paige and smiling perfectly, and then basically hugging her, and basically looking the look on Paige's face. She didn't look too comfortable about that, so yeah, this is definitely leading towards another encounter between AJ Lee and Paige, definitely at the Night of Champions pay-per-view, so, and hopefully, if you could give those two time, you could be looking at a solid match here. Maybe 2.5 to 3 stars if they give them the right amount of time. But as far as this match goes, I'm only giving it 1 star for the effort, since there was a little bit of all right action here. So that's all I can say on it. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm going to give this between 1.25 to 1.5 stars, actually, because I thought, the action was good for what it was. Another match too short for my liking, because here, just like with Cesaro and RVD, you have 2 workers who can go. Paige and Natalya, 2 of the better wrestling divas in the WWE today. And if Natalya had gone over here, I think we really could have had a case for maybe a triple threat match at the Night of Champions with Paige and AJ Lee and Natalya. That would have been epic, to say the very least. 3 workers who can all go. Oh yeah, that would have been great. But I think Natalya knocked herself out of contention with that loss tonight. Paige won clean and decisive, so I'll give her that. And it's very obvious that it's going to be Paige and AJ Lee one more time for the Divas Championship at the Night of Champions, which I do agree. Hopefully this is the one. Hopefully this will be the one that will have us talking, the next day or later that night. We will have a recap show on that very night, with Michael Fletcher at the helm, of course, as always. But yeah, I know there are a lot of people who don't like how the storyline has been going. I mean, I read some reviews that said that they didn't really like how the storyline has been going as of late. There are even some who are actually sick and tired of it already. But no, give it a chance. I mean, I still think this match has the potential to be one of the best Diva feuds in a long time. I mean, ever since Trish and Lita left, I mean, we've been waiting for that, next great big rivalry. I mean, there've been a few that have come close. I mean, Mickie James and Beth Phoenix. I mean, they had some very good matches in the past. I mean, Beth Phoenix and Natalya. I mean, I could go on and on for a couple more. But for me, Paige and AJ has the makings of maybe the next Trish and Lita. We still feel that way. So, and damn it to hell, I'm rooting for it. So, Night of Champions, Paige, AJ Lee, Divas title match. You got to believe we're going to book that. So, yeah, I'm going to give this between 1.25 to 1.5 stars. I'm going to exceed Mr. Bullock's rating just a little bit because I thought the fight, even though it was only just about 3 minutes long, I still felt there was some very good action here. So, all right, I'm just going to move on to the next moment, to the next moment here on our Raw review, which is, let me see. Oh boy, it was the quote-unquote eulogy for Dean Ambrose. It was Mr. Bullock's favorite, Citizen Kane, or Corporate Kane, as we call him, along with Seth Rollins. They gave a eulogy on behalf of Dean Ambrose, which was interrupted by Roman Reigns. And I got to get into this. Third best segment of the night. I mean, it was a good segment. Don't get me wrong. It was okay, but yeah, I felt it was a little over the top here. I mean, but here's the thing. I mean, I thought Rollins was fine for what he was. I mean, I thought he did a good job. Getting into all the good points about Dean Ambrose, saying that he's the one who was the quote-unquote leader of the Shield. I disagree. I thought that Dean Ambrose was more of the leader of the Shield, if I'm being honest. But still, I mean, nobody was really established as a leader when it came to the Shield. Nobody was really ever established as such. So that's really all I can, say about that. But Roman Reigns coming in, getting involved. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was really nice, a nice touch. And, I mean, I think it's obvious they're starting to build a Reigns and Rollins feud down the road. I thought they would have saved that, for months down the road. You remember that big scenario I broke down when we did our SummerSlam preview show a couple weeks ago. I mean, I said there was a scenario where, Roman Reigns was going to win the title at WrestleMania, and then Seth Rollins was going to cash in on him a couple months later, and then they go into next year's SummerSlam with Roman Reigns taking the belt back from Seth Rollins. I mean, that could still be the direction, but I think they obviously want to start planting the seeds for that, get a little taste of what we could be seeing for what could be a future WWE World Heavyweight Championship program. And if that's the case, then you're looking at the freshest program for that thing we've seen in years. I can't remember the last time we had a fresh rivalry like that over the most prestigious prize in WWE today. So, yeah. So, I thought it was the third best segment of the night. I thought both of them were fine here. I thought Rollins was a little better than Kane, to be honest. But I thought the stuff with Roman Reigns at the end, I thought that was a very nice touch. But to me, it was the third best segment of the night. So, nothing left to say here except let's take it up to Michael Bullock.
Yeah, this definitely was the third best segment of the night. I mean, I thought it was a little bit over the top, and yeah, I mean, basically, Kane was says it's not a night of mourning, but it's a celebration of the future of the WWE, and then he brings out Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins says that he was the leader of the most dominant group in the history of the WWE, the Shield, and there is a reason why he handpicked Dean Ambrose to be a member of the Shield. Pain was never a factor. Fear was never a factor for Ambrose. I wholeheartedly disagree with Seth Rollins that he was the leader of the Shield. I do agree with Anthony. I thought Dean Ambrose was the true leader of the Shield. So, and then of course, he basically said he had to prove that the Authority always wins. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, to the bitter taste of me and Anthony Florio as the president and vice president of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement, and we always just don't like it when the Authority always wins. I know Florio will back me up on it. And of course, they always say, "Oh, it's best for business." Yeah, best for business, my ass. So yeah, yeah. Get back to this. He basically continues to say that the WWE universe is the reason for the demise of Dean Ambrose, and they show a video, and then after the video, he basically says, "Can if anybody can imagine the moment of the impact with what happened last week when Rollins curb stomped onto some cinder blocks, and then basically he summed it up with two simple words: what if Ambrose had known his place? What if Ambrose had simply walked away when he had the opportunity, and that now we'll never know?" And then he said, "Oh, Seth Rollins created the Shield, and he has basically destroyed it." So then all of a sudden we get Roman Reigns coming out, and judging by the look on his face, he wasn't too happy with how Rollins and Kane were making a mockery of Dean Ambrose, and then we have ourselves a good old-fashioned Donnybrook and between the two of them. So, and then of course, basically later on, in the back, Kane basically says it's going to be Seth Rollins and Kane going up against Roman Reigns, and we'll talk about that match later on. So, third best segment. So with that being said, Laurie, let's move on.
Yes, let's move on indeed to our next match. It was for the WWE Tag Team Championship. It was the reigning champions, the Usos, going up against the Dust Brothers. Winners of the match via countout at 7 minutes and 34 seconds. The Dust Brothers with a very interesting development. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on the fight and the interesting development?
All right. I'm gonna say this was about another. I'm gonna say this was about a 1.5-star fight. If I'm gonna be quite honest here, I mean, once again, I'll say there was some all right action here when it comes to this, but all of a sudden, basically, I mean, because of course, once again, we got ourselves another cop-out finish, which once again, I don't like cop-out finishes in some of these matches. So yeah, I mean. Basically, after the match was over, we had some very, very interesting stuff going on. Cody or Stardust, if you wanted to, he basically argues with the ref as Goldust grabs the mic, and he says this was their one opportunity, and the Usos are just going to get counted out. They want a rematch right now. And then the Usos basically hesitate, and then the Dust Brothers basically attack the Usos, and then they send Jimmy to the outside, and then attack the leg of Jay, and Cody wraps the leg around the post as Goldust attacks him, and Cody sends the leg slamming onto the post while Goldust holds one of the Usos down. And yeah, this is definitely looking like a possible heel turn. I mean, I know we talked about it for Cody Rhodes, but it looks like not just Cody Rhodes, but Goldust as well. I mean, both Dust Brothers look like are on their way for a possible heel. I mean, for a heel turn after what we saw here tonight. So very interesting with the way we saw the end of this match. So yeah, 1.5 stars for the effort there, but very interesting what happened at the end. With looks like a heel turn for the Dust Brothers, and if that's the case, I think we're gonna get ourselves a tag team championship encounter at the Night of Champions between the Dust Brothers and the Usos. That's pretty much my story on the whole thing. So with that being said, Oreo, your thoughts on the match and the whole development?
What was your rating for the fight there, Bullock?
1.5 stars.
I gotta disagree on that just a little bit. I'm actually gonna give this between 2 to 2.25 stars, to be quite honest. I thought there was some good action here. I mean, especially in the early going, with the Usos doing their high flying moves. I mean, I thought that was good. I mean, there was some good near falls, a couple good near falls down the stretch, and of course, count out finish with I believe it was Jimmy Uso who hurt his knee, and a heel turn for the Dust Brothers. I love it, absolutely love it. I mean, the characters were getting as stale as moldy bread there, and I'm glad that WWE is actually having them turn heel here. I mean, really, I think it's time for the whole Stardust character of Cody Rhodes to go by the wayside and bring it back as the Cody Rhodes that we've seen over the last few years. That same Cody Rhodes who don't bring back the dashing Cody Rhodes. Don't do that. Bring Cody Rhodes back as that heel Cody Rhodes. That held the Intercontinental title for well over 200 days, and was one of the best young heels in WWE today. I mean, that's the Cody Rhodes I want to see personally. I'm kind of sick of the Stardust character, to be honest with you. I don't like it at all. It's a little over the top. It's can't be comedy nonsense, and it's definitely a PG character, and the PG era is starting to slowly die down quickly, folks. And I think they need to get rid of that character and bring him back as the original Cody Rhodes that they had him as. Keep Goldust the way he is. I could be fine with that. Or maybe have him as that heel Goldust, maybe like that artist formerly known as Goldust. The one that used to have the Forever Unchained on his face, on his cheeks, that FU, if you will, from back in the early stages of the Attitude Era. So, but I still thought it was a very good match, and for what it was, of course, we don't like count-out finishes, but I think it was fine in this case. And then the beatdown afterwards. I mean, wow. I mean, that's the best thing I've seen from those guys, from those brothers that we've seen in a long time, since they were those lovable underdogs that were also fighting the good fight, if you will, against the Authority, around this time a year ago. So, yeah, I thought it was very well done, to say the very least. And I mean, good match, good beatdown, and I expect this to continue. I expect this to lead to another match. I'm thinking Night of Champions, we're going to get these same two teams again for the tag team championships, and who knows? I think Cody and Goldust could be the next champions. I really do. I think this could finally be the moment where the Usos' fifth longest reign in WWE history, according to Michael Cole, 175 days, which is now into their 176th day as tag champs. They went back in March 3rd at Chicago Raw, where they beat the New Age Outlaws. I mean, they've been the champions since. They've beaten everything put in front of them, so including Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, not once but twice, at Money in the Bank and Battleground. Both were epic matches. If you haven't seen them, check them out. So that's all I can say on that. So with that said, 2 to 2.25 stars. I would say fourth best fight of the night. So we're just gonna move on to our next segment here, which was, well, it was a video package, if you will. It was a this wasn't an in-ring promo. This was like a videotape promo with Brock Lesnar and with the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Brock Lesnar, I should say, and his advocate Paul Heyman. I mean, we usually don't get into these type of things, but I felt this one is kind of necessary to get into because I gotta say, this was fantastic. I mean, this is all right. Let me say it like this: when it comes to the live in-ring stuff, leave that to Heyman. Heyman is gold, especially after that promo from last week. But when it comes to these pre-tape segments, these vignettes, if you will, this is where Lesnar shines. And I thought Brock Lesnar did another fantastic job with this heel promo. I mean, he doesn't hold back. He does not hold back. I mean, you don't see Punk was dropping pipe bombs. Oh no, this guy is dropping the pipe bombs nowadays. I mean, absolutely well done. I mean, Heyman was fine here too, but Lesnar I thought shined. I thought he came off looking like $1 million in this segment. I mean, WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I mean, after that dominant performance against Cena at SummerSlam, and of course he talked about the rematch, how he's going to finish him off and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I thought this was a very well done package. I mean, their video packages are always well done, but I thought this was another gem here. So, well done to Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, even though it was really more so for Lesnar in this case. I mean, Heyman didn't say much. I mean, he said a little bit, but it was pretty much Brock Lesnar who pretty much did the talking during this. And I thought he came off looking like that monster, like that #1 monster, badass heel champion that he's going to be, that we feel he's going to be until WrestleMania 31. 3/29/15, save the date. Levi's Stadium, San Francisco. You know what's going to happen that night. So I'm not going to get into that because you already know what's going to happen. So, all right. So with that said, this was, a very good segment here. I mean, I'm not gonna like count this as an in-ring segment. I'm just gonna say, this pre-taped video segment was well done, and Brock Lesnar, well done. That's all I can say about that. You came up looking like a champ, my brother. That's all I can say about that. So that's that, Michael Bowles.
Yeah, this was definitely a good video segment here. I mean, Brock Lesnar, of course, basically talking about his intentions of coming back to the WWE, and then he talks about, of course, SummerSlam, where he says that he wanted to give Cena a chance to just call the match after that first F5 that they only a few seconds after a few seconds into the match, and then after that he basically said, you know what, he was basically inflicting the right amount of pain that he wanted to deliver to John Cena, because I mean Brock Lesnar, he basically doesn't hold back when he talks about, in these videos. You saw the last one that he did, where he basically said he says, oh, The Undertaker, do they think he's some mythical god, or that he was going to rip John Cena limb from limb, and he said he was going to leave him in a pile of blood, urine, and vomit. And you remember that meme that I did, that's not PG meme with Vince McMahon and Ric Flair, that I know Anthony Ford has already seen, where he said Brock Lesnar saying shit and fuck, and of course saying that he was going to leave Cena in a pile of blood, urine, and vomit. That wasn't PG then, and it damn sure isn't PG now. So yeah, and then he basically said that. And then of course Paul Heyman said, oh, the only reason why Cena survived the beating at SummerSlam was because Brock Lesnar took some pity on Cena. And then he said, oh, that Brock Lesnar is humiliated by Cena invoking his rematch clause, and that Cena is out of his mind. It's a bad mistake. And then Brock says, and this is another thing that says, oh, Cena's dad may have filled his ear with all kinds of garbage, telling Cena that he'd grow up and become a man. And he brings up Cena's consistent standing up until Brock shows up, and that Night of Champions, it's going to be Cena's last night in the WWE universe, or in this universe at all. So very interesting when it comes to this. And who knows what to expect in this rematch, but we all think Lesnar's going to win this. And and I'm already going on the record of saying this, Brock Lesnar's going to win and retain the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Thought this was a good video segment, so with that being said, Laura, let's move on.
All right, and move on we will to our next match. It was the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Dolph Ziggler going one-on-one with not The Miz, but, God forbid, Damien Mizdow. Oh, seriously. Wow. But it happened. It happened. Winner of the match in 2 minutes and 20 seconds, no big surprise, was the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Dolph Ziggler. Oh, man. I'm so sorry, Michael Bullock, but it's just us here. There's no Fletcher. There's no Derek. It's the luck of the draw, like the Royal Rumble, and unfortunately, you drew the number one here on this one. So, have at it.
Oh, my gosh. Damien Sandow and another gimmick. Yeah, this is not good at all. You know what? I'm just gonna basically. I'm gonna say dud to an NA. If I'm gonna be quite honest here. I just really wasn't feeling this match whatsoever when it comes to this. Damien Sandow and another gimmick. My goodness. It's becoming ridiculous. It's absolutely pointless, unnecessary, unacceptable, inexcusable, irresponsible, and borderline reprehensible. Damien Sandow, the biggest stud enhancement talent right now, and it's a darn shame because last year he was the winner of the Money in the Bank ladder match, and was this close to winning the World Heavyweight Championship from John Cena. And ever since then, they made him look like a freaking tool. Absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrific. You know what? I know I just said dud to him, but I'm going to say dud, 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 dud. I'm done. I'm finished with this crap. Wario, go.
Yeah, this was horrific. I mean, this was definitely, it was definitely, well, to me, I got to be honest. I thought this was the second worst fight of the night. I thought there was one that was actually worse than this, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, I could definitely say it was a dud. I mean, this was not good at all. I mean, Damian Sandow continues to be humbled and humiliated. What else is new? I mean, these goofy gimmicks. I mean, it's not getting over. I mean, the only exception was when the Big Show. When the Big Show did this in the Attitude Era, that was actually funny. But this time around, we're not laughing now. We're not laughing now. So there's really nothing left to say here except absolute dud. Second worst fight of the night. There was one match I thought was actually worse than, believe it or not. So, but one other thought I want to make, and that is, here's another one. Night of Champions. Dolph Ziggler is Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship rematch booking. So nothing left to say here. Let's just move on, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to get into. Okay, here we go. This was what was being called the quote-unquote family reconciliation. We had Jerry the King Lawler in the ring moderating segment where he invited both Bella twins, Nikki and Brie, to come out and try to reconcile their differences. And of course, this is where the luck of the draw benefits me for a change. So here it is, segment of the night. I mean, I thought this was very well done. I mean, I'm just going to say it like this. You remember that video package with Brock Lesnar, how Brock Lesnar was pretty much the dominant force in that, and how Shawn Michaels was, the star of the Hall of Fame Forum? Let me say it like this. Nikki Bella was the star of this night. Like her or not, you at least got to respect her for this promo tonight. I mean, I thought this was well done, and I can honestly say this was Nikki Bella's personal best work I have ever seen. I only wish her wrestling ability was half as good as her mic skills were, but I thought she was absolutely brilliant on the mic tonight. She came off like a star tonight. That's all I can say. And, well, Brie Bella continues to be, well, her mic work has so much to be desired. I mean, honest to God, I mean, when she's on the mic, it kind of feels forced, to be honest. But Nikki Bella, I mean, there's nothing forced about that. I mean, she doesn't hold back. I mean, she absolutely came off like $1 million as well tonight. I mean, not just Lesnar in that video package, but Nikki Bella. I mean, all I can say was well done, my dear. I mean, even though she can be a little, on the authority side, but thing is, I mean, this is another match that's going to go down, probably at the Night of Champions. You got to believe, and this is going to be straight up personal between Brie and Nikki Bella. I mean, Nikki Bella said, she got into everything about, I'm sick of you, I'm sick of Daniel Bryan, I'm sick of your husband, and calling him a goat-faced troll. What else is new there? I mean, that's vintage authority right there. That's what they always said about him. But, I mean, wow. I mean, you thought Stephanie was the vindictive heel. I mean, tonight, Nikki Bella channeled her inner Stephanie McMahon tonight, and she absolutely killed it. Absolutely killed it. Her personal best work I have ever seen from that young lady. I mean, she's got a ways to go to be, one of those top divas, but still, to me, I thought Nikki Bella was brilliant. Whereas Brie Bella, well, came up as a deer in the headlights and more lost than I have ever seen. I mean, she needs so much work on the mic, it's not even funny. But I thought her emotion, I thought her facial expression, I thought were fine. I thought that was her facial expression was good, but, the mic work still has quite a bit to be desired, if I'm being honest. But I love Brie's facial expression. I'll give her that. But Nikki Bella tonight absolutely owned it, like her or not. I know there are some who don't, there are some who do, but if you're in the middle, like I am, you at least got to respect her, and I respect her for that promo tonight. Well done, my dear. Well done. That's all I can say about that. Nikki Bella looked like a star tonight. Fantastic. Night of Champions, book it. Brie Bella, Nikki Bella. That's all I can say about that. So with that said, Mr. Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, without a doubt, segment of the night. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, Nikki Bella was far and away the star of this segment. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty much a 50-50 on her as well because also, I mean, yes, I like her because of the way she did tonight, but then again, I also don't like her because somehow it looks like she is a part of the authority. I mean, what else there is to say on that? I mean, she basically, I mean, I mean, Jerry Lawler basically brings Nikki Bella out, and then two chairs are set up, and she grabs one of them and pulls it as far away from the other as possible. And King basically is like, you know what? The intentions of this are to try to work things out between the two sisters. And then Bree comes out, and then and then they start right away and talking over each other regarding the entrance music. And of course, they both come out to the same entrance music. And Bree says that she trusted her sister Nikki Bella more than anyone in this world, including her friends and husband. And Bree says Nikki was mistreated by that quote unquote witch Stephanie McMahon, or the $1 billion princess, as we like to call her here at the Wrestling Forum. And she apologizes, and then says, "Forget all this. WWE Total Divas, forget all this. I'm sorry." And Nikki doesn't even know what to say, except she basically says that this is the biggest load of crap she's ever heard. And holy holy crap, tell us how you really feel, Nikki Bella. And she's she's like, oh, I get it. I'm selfish. I'm the materialistic one. And Bree is the innocent girl, innocent, beautiful woman that just wants a family. Is this the story that you're trying to present? And then she goes on to call all of us, and I'm pretty sure she's also directing it towards you and me, Anthony Florio, as the president and vice president of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement, saying that we're stupid, and then she knows the real Brie Bella, and that Brie always wanted the spotlight, always wanted to be loved more. And Brie's like, are you kidding me? This is stupid. And Nikki says, oh, this is all an act. That Brie's basically been holding her back, and Nikki says, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm done with the entire family. I'm done with the fans whose stupid fantasy of having twins is impossible because we're all fat and ugly. And she is tired of Brie and her troll-faced husband, Daniel Bryan. I'm like, whoa. Jeez. I'm like, damn, that is... she definitely dropped some pipe bombs of her own, if I'm going to be quite honest. And this basically goes on for a while, and then you could see Brie so emotional with all the derogatory things that Nikki Bella has said. And King basically all of a sudden tries to put a stop to this, and then Nikki Bella, she basically rips on Jerry the King Lawler as well. She says, she basically calls him an old man and tries to get him to leave the ring. I'm like, whoa, you do not disrespect a Hall of Famer like Jerry the King Lawler. And she says this is the real Brie mode. And as far as Nikki is concerned, I have no sister. And just as she's about to ring, she pushes the Brie Bella off the chair and then attacks her by the hair. Oh my goodness. Nikki Bella, she was basically channeling her inner Stephanie McMahon, if I'm going to be quite honest. And then Lawler tries to basically pull Nikki off of her, and she won't let go. And then after that, she basically stands up and delivers a vicious slap to Jerry Lawler. The last two slaps have been very vicious. First it was Brie Bella. Now, unfortunately, it was Jerry the King Lawler who got it. And then she basically attacks Brie again and screaming to her sister, saying, I have no sister. You're dead to me. And she was really crying. And, this was definitely a red-hot segment and definitely leading up to Brie Bella going up against Nikki Bella, and definitely one of the most personal matches in quite a while, if I'm going to be quite honest here. And I don't know what else there is to say except Florio. Let's just move on.
Yes, let's indeed move on to our next segment here. It was a 2-on-1 handicap match. It was Corporate Kane, or Citizen Kane as they're like to call him, teaming up with Mr. Money in the Bank Seth Rollins, going up against Roman Reigns. Winner of the match via disqualification at 2 minutes and 36 seconds. It was Roman Reigns. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on the fight?
All right. What did you say the time of the bout was?
2 minutes and 36 seconds.
2 minutes and 36 seconds. All right. And of course, it ends via disqualification. Yeah. To me, I'm gonna basically say this is an NA, if I'm gonna be quite honest here. I mean, but you know what? Actually, I'm probably gonna give it NA to maybe even half. You know what? I'm actually gonna have to change it again. I'm gonna say half to maybe 1 star at best. I mean, I thought this was all right for what it was worth, but once again, I mean, this has pretty much been the theme of the night. Cop-out finishes. Of course, once again, and like I said, I don't like a cop-out finish. It's pretty much pointless and unnecessary. You all know the routine. But even after the match was over, after Rollins hit Roman Reigns with the briefcase, the brawl basically continues, and of course Rollins basically ends up on the announce table, and Roman Reigns basically hits an elbow on Kane just as Seth Rollins gets off the table, and Reigns hits Kane from behind, and then of course we get the old Superman punch to Seth Rollins, and then all of a sudden Reigns grabs a cinder block, and he goes over to Seth Rollins, and Rollins sees it and basically is like, you know what, I'm not going to get hit with this cinder block. I'm out of here. And it basically shatters off the ring post, and then basically hits Kane with a Superman punch as well, while Seth Rollins is standing at the top of the ramp. And Reigns basically then grabs the briefcase, and so, yeah, I mean, the match was pretty much, I'll say, and I'm going to be very generous, half to 1 star, but I'm going to say what happened after the match was pretty much better than the match itself, so that's all I can say on it. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I agree. 1 to 1.5 stars is the rating for this. I mean, some okay action at the start, but then it was over before it started. And I do agree. The post-match beatdown was a lot better than the actual match. I mean, they're definitely starting to hype up Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins feud down the road. Although I still have a feeling we're going to get another Reigns and Orton fight. I don't know why, but I'm still getting that feeling, even though Orton wasn't on tonight. Very surprising. But anyways, okay fight for what it was. I mean, it really wasn't anything to write home about. But the beating, though, after the post-match stuff after, was well done. Quick explanation. You remember what happened to Dean Ambrose last week with the cinder blocks? Those cinder blocks were not real cinder blocks. Those were actually made out of styrofoam, what I heard. So, and who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if the cinder blocks they used were styrofoam again. I'm being quite honest with you. So, but anyways, post-match was a hell of a lot better than the match itself. I mean, the match left a lot to be desired. So, 1 to 1.5 stars. Yeah, that's about right. So, another one of the worst fights of the night. So, with that said, let's just get into our next matchup here. Oh boy, it's going to go from bad to worse here, my friends. Unfortunately, it was a tag team match. It was Los Matadores along with El Torito going up against the Slater Gator, Heath Slater, and Titus O'Neil. Yeah, I know. Let me get the info here. Winners of the match in 3 minutes and 58 seconds. It was Los Matadores. Unfortunately, I believe I have to lead off on this one. Am I right?
Oh, I don't envy you.
I know you don't, Bullock. Whereas I didn't envy you earlier when you had to review that disaster match earlier. But yeah, but no, I mean, it was okay. I'm gonna be. This wasn't really a total dud for me. I mean, I know it probably should be a dud, but I really honestly can't do that because I felt there was a little bit of some alright action, just a little bit, not a whole lot. So for that, I know I'm probably being generous here, but I'm going to give this 1 star for the effort. I mean, the match left a lot to be desired. I mean, you know how we are about filler fights. I mean, we don't like filler matches. I mean, unless it's absolutely necessary. Um, Michael Bullock, you just gave me ammo for a Mimi there, my friend. I mean, it's very rare we have Mimis when it's just us. I mean, usually when Derek and Fletcher are here, usually that's when we go Mimi crazy, especially Derek. But I'm going to have a funny Mimi in just a little bit, courtesy of Michael Bullock there. But then again, I kind of had the ammo myself earlier. I was thinking about it. To be quite honest, I didn't really pay attention to this match. I mean, I took a little cat nap during this fight, so I appreciate the cat nap there because I usually like to take cat naps during these filler fights, these boring match fights. But I did feel there was some all right action, not a whole lot of it, but there was a little bit of some good action that would elevate it from a dud to a 1-star match. So I'm gonna get that funny Mimi ready, and while I do that, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, sorry, Florio. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this. This was a dud. I mean, I just really wasn't feeling this match from the get-go. I mean, you know, this was unfortunate. Like I said, another filler fight, or as we like to say, a meh fight. So, yeah, Los Matadores and of course that Slater Gator. I mean, yeah, I mean, 2 tag teams that are pretty much, as I like to say, 2 dud enhancement tag teams, which is pretty much, as I would like to say, pointless, unnecessary, unacceptable, inexcusable, irresponsible, borderline reprehensible. So, yeah, not really going to get into any further comment on this match because this was just pretty much an absolute dud in my opinion. There's nothing else for me to say. Florio, let's just move on.
All right. I'm still in the process of getting that Mimi ready, but while I do that, let's get into our next match. And oh boy, it only gets worse from here, my friends. Unfortunately, it was the inspirational Bo Dallas one-on-one with Kofi Kingston. Bo Dallas wins the match in 1 minute and 40 seconds. And for the second time tonight, the luck of the draw. The luck of the draw has got up to Michael Bullock. I'm sorry, man, but it's going to have to be you on this one. Your thoughts on this, even though I think I know where you're going with it.
No, 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 no. Absolute dud. Another one of the worst fights of the night. Pointless, unnecessary, unacceptable, inexcusable, irresponsible, and borderline reprehensible. I mean, Kofi Kingston. Who's a really good wrestler, a good high-flying wrestler, and you put him in a match against Bo Dallas, the inspirational Bo Dallas. Really? Really? Basically, I don't know what else there is to say on this match. This is, this was another match I wasn't feeling, and then after the match, Bo says, "Oh, Kofi is not like Jack Swagger. He just let himself down. Swagger down his entire country, but they both need to learn how to believe." Yeah, right. Like anybody's gonna want to believe in Jack Swagger, and then of course he basically enters the ring and lifts Bo Dallas up and brings him down hard, and then he grabs the ribs and heads back up the ramp. So yeah, this is definitely going to lead up to a Jack Swagger Bo Dallas feud somewhere down the road. So this is, well, And there's the meme that Anthony Florio of course did with the yeah, of course, both of these matches, Slater Gator versus Los Matadores and Bo Dallas versus Kofi Kingston back to back. No, 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 no. Anthony Florio, president of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement, please join me in saying this. No, 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 no. Done. Finished with this crap. Florio, please move on. And if Fletcher was here, he'd probably say, I want to have him bring Bruno over here and please have him take a dump on this match because this literally smelled like crap. And enough said. Florio, go.
Absolute dud, worst fight of the night. I think my Mimi said it all right there. I mean, Slater Gator, Los Matadores, and Bo Dallas and Kofi Kingston, 2 filler matches back to back. No, 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 indeed. I mean, yeah, major hard times to say the very least. I mean, you remember that very funny meme I did a few weeks ago here on the forum, that Dusty Rhodes Hard Times meme that had all of us in a laugh riot. The one where it said, Daddy, make the hard times stop, Daddy, and that's exactly what it was. I mean, that was major hard times right there, folks. I mean, to have to sit through those 2 filler matches back to back, that's horrible. So, yeah, and the point of this was, and the point of both of those matches really were what exactly? Yeah, no point at all. So, absolute dud. This was the worst fight of the night for me. So, and it's a damn shame, man. I mean, I never thought I'd say a Kofi Kingston fight was the worst fight of the night. But when you're in there with somebody like Bo Dallas and he beats you decisively in less than 2 minutes, yeah, that's not going to sit well with us. I mean, Kofi Kingston, a guy who has so much talent, so much potential, and you have him job in 2 minutes? No, absolutely horrible. So,
yeah, WWE dropped the ball on this one.
Yeah, they dropped the ball indeed. Major botchamania on their part. And there was a little bit of a botchamania with Bo Dallas. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but Bo Dallas had a little bit of a botchamania during the running Bodog there. So, yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? I'm just going to move on. Let me see. We get rid of that. Okay. Let's get into our next moment. Well, now, this is interesting. I mean, it was 2 for the price of 1 in this main event. I mean, first main event, it was John Cena against Bray Wyatt. John Cena wins the match by disqualification in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. It was then removed. It ended up being twerked to a 6-man tag team match with John Cena, The Big Show, and Mark Henry against all 3 members of the Wyatt family. And it was Cena, Henry, and Big Show winning that match in 6 minutes and 42 seconds. So we're just gonna, get into this as a whole here, because I really don't feel the need to review, 2 separate matches. I mean, I don't know if that's how Derek would have done it if he was with us tonight, but since I'm running the show tonight, we're gonna go with Hitman's rules here, and that's exactly what we're gonna do here. We're gonna go with my discretion here. We're gonna review, both of these as a whole here. So. Yeah, I mean, the Cena and Wyatt first fight, I mean, really nothing special about that. I mean, that was an NA. But this fight here, I mean, I could really only give this like 2 stars, maybe 2.25 stars at the absolute best. I mean, there was some fine action here, but they were trying to make Cena look too much like Brock Lesnar here. I mean, they were having him do those German suplexes like Lesnar did to him at SummerSlam. And, I understand sending a message to Brock Lesnar, but yeah, this was really not the way to do it. I mean, the Wyatts came off looking like good enhancement talents, at least on this night, to be honest with you. I mean, Cena right here. I mean, some are saying, I mean, does he really need to be built back up? I mean, he's the toughest, he's the top guy in the business right now. I mean, I understand that he, got beaten down by Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, but he rarely shows any, so it's a wash. I mean, there's just so much wrong here. It's hard to know where to begin with it. I mean, it made Bray Wyatt Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan look like dud enhancement talents, like I said. And Cena is essentially no-selling. He's no-selling the beating from Lesnar. The whole thing is just a hot mess. But, I mean, that's really all there is to say about that. But I'm going to give this 2 to 2.25 stars for the effort. I mean, the first fight was an NA, but the second match was 2 to 2.25 stars. So I think maybe 2 stars as an absolute whole. And like I said, do you really need to build John Cena back up? I mean, he's the top guy in your company, for God's sake. I mean, he may not be the champion, but he's still the #1 guy. I mean, there were so many things wrong with that. So not a good way to conclude what was an okay, what really concluded what was to me a solid but unspectacular edition of Monday Night Raw. So nothing left to say here except Michael Bullock. Your thoughts on this as a whole?
Yeah, as far as Bray Wyatt, yeah, this was an NA for me. I mean, yeah, I mean, there pretty much wasn't anything good here. Yeah, yeah, the first one, John Cena, John Cena, and basically does a German suplex to Bray Wyatt, and Cena basically tells Bray Wyatt to stay down, and I mean, it's almost like he's trying to prove something to Lesnar, and yeah, I mean, trying to basically build Cena back up. I mean, he doesn't need any building back up. He's the top guy in the WWE right now, and you're trying to build him back up. I mean, it's really unacceptable in my opinion when it comes to that. And of course, we have the interference of the Wyatt family coming in, which pretty much stops it, and then basically Mark Henry and the Big Show come out and basically save Cena, and then a 6-man tag team match was made, and the 6-man tag was a 2-star bout. I mean, yeah, I mean, not a good way to close out what I thought, like you said, was a solid but unspectacular edition of Monday Night Raw. So, yeah, you pretty much touched on everything when it comes to the 6-man tag team match. So, with that being said, Gloria, let's get to our overall thoughts on the show.
And you're gonna lead off on that, Michael Bullock. Your overall thoughts on this edition of Raw tonight?
Oh, all right. Like I said, this was a solid but unspectacular edition of Monday Night Raw. I mean, I'm going to say, if I'm going to be quite honest, I'm going to be saying 6 to 6.5 out of 10 if I'm going to be quite honest with my rating. I mean, the highlights for me was, of course, the segment of the night being the thing with Nikki and Brie Bella with Jerry the King Lawler. I thought that was good. And of course that segment at the beginning of the show with the 3 Hall of Famers, and of course John Cena, of course, with Hogan, Shawn Michaels, and Ric Flair, Swagger and Rusev. I thought that was good as well. And everything else was pretty much meh. I mean, it was a meh to almost some dud fights here. So, yeah, so 6 to 6.5 out of 10 is my rating on it. So with that being said, Florio, your thoughts?
Yeah, 6 to 6.5 out of 10 is the correct rating for the show tonight. I mean, the Nikki Bella Brie Bella segment was the segment of the night, mainly because of Nikki Bella. She looked like an absolute star tonight. Second best would have to be the Hall of Fame Forum. Hogan, Flair, HBK, interrupted by Cena, and then third, of course, the eulogy for Dean Ambrose with Seth Rollins and Kane. That was fine too. Those are the 3 highlights, along with that video, that little pre-taped interview with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. I thought that was very good. And there were a couple of good matches. To me, the top fights of the night, I mean, I would have to say, the Rusev and Swagger, I thought that was pretty much the fight of the night, if I'm being quite honest, despite the referee's discretion finish. And you had a solid tag team title fight, and an interesting development with that heel turn. I mean, I thought that was well done, to be quite honest. And then you had some other good fights, but there were a lot of filler, a lot of dud enhancement stuff. Unfortunately, Bo Dallas and Kofi Kingston, worst fight of the night, right behind the Damien Miz down and Dolph Ziggler. That was a mess, and it was definitely, a little bit of a step back. And to me, I thought it was, like I said, it was solid, but it was an unspectacular edition of Monday Night Raw, to say the very least. And yeah, I mean, it was really, really not good, to say the very least. It was fine, but there was a lot of stuff. I mean, it left a lot to be desired, even with those good segments. I mean, it was WWE's final chance, like I said, to pop a big rating before football season starts. And next week, don't forget, it may not be Monday Night Football, but there is a Monday Night College Football game next Monday night for Labor Day. The Miami Hurricanes against Louisville. I mean, and I know I'm pretty sure we're going to get into that on. We might get into that Friday night on our season premiere of Strictly Sports. So, our Strictly Sports Football Friday. I mean, we'll have more on that in just a moment. But having the Legends open the show, that was a good idea. But they failed to deliver anything worth seeing, and then it was a mediocre show after that, concluding with terrible, and I do mean terrible, booking decisions. So, yeah, so 6 to 6.5 out of 10 is the correct rating for this edition of Monday Night Raw. And hopefully, starting next week, with football season right around the corner, they can start making some great programming, heading into what's going to be another competitive football and fall season. I mean, it's not just the football that impacts their ratings; it's also the fall programming. Dancing with the Stars is going to be coming back, and The Voice is going to be coming back, and all the comedies on CBS, and whatever Fox has for us, and all that. But Monday nights are mostly dominated by Dancing with the Stars and The Voice and the CBS comedies. So, all right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Wrestling Forum. We appreciate you tuning in as always, and of course, we're going to get into our shout-outs now. I'm going to have Michael Bullock lead it off because I'm going to, I want to end it myself because I want to set the table for, for future content. So, Michael Bullock, your shout-outs, if you will.
All right. Special shout-out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's the Wrestling Forum or Strictly Sports. It doesn't matter. We really appreciate it. And thank you all for listening to us here tonight on another edition of the Wrestling Forum here on this Monday night. So, shout out to, of course, our super fans, Dee Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson, Matt Ward, Jason Hexenbaugh. Shout out, of course, also to our friends from our high school days, Al Britterson, Jimmy Alden, Eric Carrier, Rob Parsons, who's an original member of our Brotherhood. And of course, also to the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Megan Silva, and the First Lady of Strictly Sports, Kaisa Butler. Shout out to the Grand Poobah, Derek Ferrero, couldn't join us. I mean, he certainly did a lot of work, a lot of writing on his blogs today. So don't worry, you'll get your fix of Derek Ferrero Friday night on season premiere of Strictly Sports presents Football Friday. And also shout out to Michael Fletcher, like you said, couldn't join us tonight because he got out of work late. So hopefully we'll see all of them back for the premiere of Strictly Sports presents Football Friday. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for me. I'll save my shout-outs for that show on Friday night. So until then, for the season premiere of Strictly Sports presents Football Friday, this is the Phenom and the Vice President of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement, Mike Bullock, saying thank you, everybody, for listening to us tonight. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up 424 style. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. And until Friday night, bye for now, my friends. So with that being said, Wario, take us home and set the table for Friday night.
Yes, indeed, Michael Bullock will do on both counts. Let's get into it. Of course, I'm going to do my shout-outs first. Of course, special shout-out to all of our tremendous fans who continue to make the Wrestling Forum and Strictly Sports as ridiculously over as they are. We appreciate it as always. Of course, our shout-outs to our super fans, Dee Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson and the family, Matt Ward, Daniel Luttrell from the UK. Can't forget about him. I forgot about him last week. I'm not forgetting about him this time around. Our number one international super fan. Check out his reviews. He just did a couple of reviews on his YouTube regarding last Monday's Raw and, of course, SummerSlam. So if you want to get his thoughts on it, check him out when you can. Of course, First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Megan Silva. First Lady of Strictly Sports, Kaisa Butler. And, of course, most importantly, our other two colleagues who couldn't be with us tonight, of course, Derek Ferrera. Once again, giving me the keys to the car as always. I am the heir apparent to the throne, if you will. He he had to update the websites. He had a lot of content to put on the website tonight, so that's why he wasn't with us tonight. He will, however, be back with us Friday night for our season premiere of Strictly Sports Presents Football Friday. I'll get more on that in just a moment. And of course, our other colleague, of course, Michael Fletcher, he had to work until 11 tonight, so that's why he couldn't join us for that. Hopefully, he'll be with us on Friday for our big Football Friday season premiere. So, oh, and one other shout out. I normally don't do this, but now that I know that she's a WWE fan, I'm going to do it anyway. Lindsay McCormick, my number one girl. What else is there to say about that? I mean, she went to SummerSlam last week. I showed you the photo that she did, that she took with her friends and Nikki Bella in the backstage area at Staples Center. So, I didn't even know she was a WWE fan, but knowing that she's in the WWE and the sports world, yeah, that's enough said right there. So I love that girl now more than ever. So, and I let her know that on Twitter, and she appreciated it obviously. So that's the one I want to meet more than anybody. So, all right, that's going to do it here. A couple of quick announcements, of course. My Pigskin Pick'em League on ESPN.com, that's up and running. For those of you who want to join, of course, Michael Bullock, I don't know if you've joined yet, but if are you already in there?
Oh, not yet, but I will do it this week.
All right, man, that's good. Because remember, first game is a week from Thursday, so we definitely want to get all that in there. Of course, I think I have some new additions. I mean, I haven't checked it yet because I've been busy working on something else, but because I think I might have some new additions in there. I mean, last time I checked, it was only two. It was me and Michael Fletcher. Michael Fletcher, of course, the two-time defending champion of our Pigskin Pick'em League. I mean, he has been very dominant in that. Actually, we're at three now. Matt Ward has thrown his hat into the ring. So as of right now, we have three in there. It's myself, it's Michael Fletcher, and it's Matt Ward. So it's the three of us for now. Obviously, Mr. Bullock will be in there soon enough, and hopefully all the other folks that I sent invites to, hopefully they'll jump in on that as well. So I mean, it's not all about our Strictly Sports Fantasy Football League, which is now up and running. We had our draft the other night, and yep, all 16 teams are locked and ready to go. So definitely looking forward to seeing how that plays out. So, and then of course. The big announcement, of course, if you weren't with us last Friday night for Strictly Sports, Derek Ferreira made, it was a big announcement, Derek, if you will. He made a big announcement. Of course, we're going to have not one, but two football shows this season. Of course, starting this Friday night, it's going to be Strictly Sports Presents Football Friday, and from now on, Football Friday will be focusing solely on college football and nothing but college football. We're going to preview, I'm pretty sure, the top 25 matchups, maybe some high-profile matchups that are not in the top 25. But we want to get into anyway. And when the time is right, I don't think we're going to be doing the power rankings. It's going to be the first show. So I think it'll probably be just the top 25 matchups and the high-profile matchups. We're going to give our predictions, who we feel is going to win those games. And then I believe a week or two after that, we're going to have it's going to be for the first time ever, Football Saturday. And we're going to have a Football Saturday edition of Strictly Sports. And that's going to be solely dedicated to the NFL, which was formerly Football Friday. That will now be Football Saturday. We're on those Saturday nights, we're going to be predicting who we think will win all the NFL matchups. And then, when the time is right, power rankings, obviously. So don't forget, Friday night, Strictly Sports, right around 10 or 10:30, with Derek Ferreira, myself, Michael Bullock, hopefully Michael Fletcher. Hopefully we'll have the band back together for the big show. And I sent a little invite out via Twitter earlier to Stata Sorrell. She heard I tweeted about the idea on my Twitter. She heard about it, and she's definitely looking forward to it. She said, "Way to go, great concept." And I am hopeful that she'll come on our show, during one of those Football Friday shows, to offer her expertise. But she's a big college football nut. That's all there is to say about that. So Friday night for Strictly Sports. That's routine college football predictions, high-profile matchups, top 25. That's how we're going to do it, because if we do every single game, we'll be there all night, and we don't want that. So, all right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Wrestling Forum. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. So until Friday night for our season premiere of Strictly Sports College Football Edition, it is Ridiculously Over Anthony Florio for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and, of course, our other two colleagues, the Cerebral Viper, Michael Fletcher, and the Hardcore Python, Derek Ferreira. Once again, ridiculously over Anthony Floro saying, you know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. And until Friday night for Strictly Sports College Football Edition of Football Friday, season premiere, 10 or 10:30, you've been watching the Wrestling Forum right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube.com. Bye for now, my friends. God bless and be good.